All right, let's start with a question. How many of you guys have ever heard your girlfriend or wife say, "I'm fine," when she's clearly not fine? Yeah, I see those knowing looks. Here's the thing. Women are incredible communicators, but there are some things they just won't come out and say directly. Not because they're playing games or trying to be mysterious, but because some things lose their magic when you have to ask for them. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 7 things that women genuinely want from men, but rarely voice out loud. And before your mind goes somewhere else, let me stop you right there. When I say dirty, I'm not talking about what you think I'm talking about. I'm talking about the real stuff, the honest stuff, the things that actually make or break relationships, but somehow never make it into the conversation. So whether you're single and trying to figure this whole dating thing out, in a relationship and want to level up, or married and wondering why the spark isn't what it used to be, what I'm about to share will change how you show up for the women in your life. Ready? Let's get into it. Look, I need to be real with you about vulnerability. When most guys grow up, we're taught this idea that showing emotions makes us weak. Cry? That's for babies. Talk about your fears? Man up. Admit you're struggling? You're not tough enough. We carry this baggage into our relationships, and it creates this wall between us and the women we care about. But here's what actually happens in real life. When you open up to a woman about what's really going on inside your head, something shifts. She doesn't see weakness, she sees authenticity. She sees someone who trusts her enough to let his guard down. Think about the last time you had a really tough day at work. Maybe your boss called you out in a meeting, or you made a mistake that cost the company money. Your first instinct is probably to bottle it up, come home and pretend everything's fine. But when you actually share that experience with your partner, when you admit, "I felt embarrassed today," or "I'm worried I'm not good enough at my job," you're inviting her into your inner world. Women want to be your safe space. They want to be the person you can be completely honest with. When you share your insecurities about your career, your body, your friendships, or even your relationship doubts, you're showing her that you value her opinion and trust her with your truth. This doesn't mean dumping every emotion on her without filter. It means having genuine conversation. It means saying, "I'm feeling anxious about meeting your parents," instead of acting overly confident. It means admitting when you're sad, scared, or uncertain. The strongest relationships aren't built on 2 perfect people. They're built on 2 real people who feel safe being imperfect together. When you show vulnerability, you give her permission to do the same. That's where real intimacy lives. Let me paint you a picture. It's Friday evening, and you're texting back and forth with your girl about weekend plans. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? This goes on for 20 minutes, and nobody's happy. Sound familiar? Here's the thing about planning. When you take charge and actually organize something, you're doing way more than just picking a restaurant. You're showing her that you think about her during your day. You're demonstrating that spending quality time with her matters enough for you to put in effort. It doesn't have to be fancy. Maybe you remembered she mentioned wanting to try that new coffee shop downtown, so you suggest grabbing breakfast there on Saturday. Maybe you noticed she's been stressed, so you book a quiet spot for dinner where you 2 can actually talk. The price tag isn't what matters. The thought behind it is everything. Women carry a lot of mental load in their daily lives. They're often the ones coordinating schedules, remembering birthdays, planning social events, and making a million little decisions every day. When you step up and take that responsibility for date night, you're giving her a break from always being the organizer. There's something attractive about a man who can make a decision and follow through. It shows confidence without being controlling. You're not dictating what happens. You're just taking the lead on creating an experience for both of you. And listen, if your plan doesn't work out perfectly, that's okay too. Maybe the restaurant is closed or the movie sold out. What matters is that you tried. You put thought into it. You wanted to create a moment for the 2 of you. Planning also shows you're invested in the relationship beyond just hanging out on the couch every night. You're actively trying to build memories together. You know what separates a good partner from a great one? Attention to detail. I'm talking about the small stuff that most guys completely miss because they're not paying close enough attention. When a woman gets her hair done, she doesn't just walk into a salon and walk out. She spent time thinking about it, probably scrolled through Pinterest for inspiration, sat in that chair for hours, and paid good money for it. When you notice and say something, you're validating all that effort. Even if you can't tell exactly what changed, just saying, "You look different today. Did you do something with your hair?" shows you're paying attention. But it goes beyond physical appearance. Notice when she's wearing that perfume you complimented once. Notice when she's quieter than usual at dinner. Pick up on the fact that she's been talking about a specific book for weeks. These details tell you what's going on in her world. The thing is, women communicate a lot through subtlety. They'll mention something once in passing and see if you were listening. 3 weeks later, when you bring up that random thing she mentioned, her face lights up because you actually heard her. You retained that information. It mattered to you because she said it. This isn't about having a perfect memory or writing everything down in a notebook. It's about being present enough in conversations to actually absorb what she's sharing. When she tells you about her stressful project at work, remember to ask how it went a few days later. When she mentions her mom's birthday is coming up, ask if she needs help picking out a gift. Noticing the little things creates this feeling of being truly seen. In a world where everyone's half listening while scrolling their phones, your genuine attention stands out. Size. It tells her she's important enough to occupy real space in your thoughts. Public affection is one of those things that seems small but carries huge meaning. I'm not talking about making people uncomfortable with over-the-top displays. I'm talking about simple, natural gestures that show the world you're together and you're happy about it. When you're walking down the street and you reach for her hand, that's a statement. You're saying, "I'm with her and I'm proud of it." When you're at a party with friends and you keep your arm around her waist, you're showing everyone in that room that she's important to you. These aren't grand gestures, but they create a sense of security that goes deep. Here's why it matters so much. A lot of women have been in situations where guys acted one way in private, but completely different in public. The guy who's all affectionate at home, but won't even hold hands when friends are around. That creates doubt. It makes her wonder if you're actually proud to be with her, or if you're keeping your options open. Simple touches throughout the day keep that connection alive. A hand on the small of her back when you're guiding her through a crowded room, playing with her hair while you're watching a movie, a quick kiss on the forehead before you head out for our work. These moments of physical affection release oxytocin, that bonding hormone that keeps couples connected. Exhales. It's also about making her feel chosen. When you're out and you could be doing anything else, but you pull her close or reach for her hand, you're choosing her in that moment. You're reminding her that being close to her is natural and desired, not something you only do behind closed doors. The key is reading the room and her comfort level. Some women love more public displays than others. Pay attention to what makes her smile and what makes her comfortable. We live in a world where everyone's half present. You're sitting across from someone, but they're scrolling Instagram. You're telling a story, but they're checking work emails. This divided attention has become so normal that we don't even realize how damaging it is to our relationships. When your girl is talking to you about her day and you're looking at your phone, here's what she hears. Whatever's on that screen is more important than what you're saying right now. It doesn't matter if you think you're multitasking or that you can listen while browsing. The message you're sending is clear, and it hurts. Active presence means putting the phone face down. It means making eye contact when she's speaking. It means actually processing what she's saying instead of just waiting for your turn to talk. When she tells you about her frustrating conversation with her coworker, don't immediately jump to solutions. Just listen, ask questions, show genuine interest in her experience. There's this thing that happens when you give someone your complete attention. They feel valued. They feel like they matter. In those moments when you're fully engaged, not distracted by notifications or thinking about tomorrow's meeting, real connection happens. That's when she opens up about deeper stuff, when meaningful conversations flow naturally. Think about it from her perspective. She probably deals with distracted people all day. Coworkers half listening in meetings, friends scrolling while she's talking. When she comes home to you, she wants something different. She wants to feel like she has your full focus, even if it's just for 30 minutes over dinner. Your undivided attention is a gift that costs nothing, but means everything. It's you saying, right now, in this moment, you're my priority. That feeling of being truly heard and seen is what keeps relationships strong when everything else gets chaotic. There's this dance that happens in relationships where nobody wants to make a decision. Where should we eat? I don't care, you pick. No, you decide. 10 minutes later, you're both hangry and frustrated. This happens because guys are often afraid of making the wrong choice, so they defer to avoid conflict. Here's what women actually want. They want you to be confident enough, Jake, to make a call. Not because they can't decide for themselves, but because decisiveness is attractive and it shows leadership. When you say, let's go to that Thai place on 5th Street, you're taking mental load off her plate. She's been making decisions all day at work, with friends, about family stuff. Sometimes it's refreshing when someone else just takes the wheel. This doesn't mean being a dictator who ignores her preferences. It means being thoughtful about your choices. If you know she doesn't like seafood, don't pick a sushi restaurant. If she mentioned wanting to see a comedy, don't surprise her with a horror movie. Your decisions should show that you know her and consider her tastes. The confidence part is key. Even if your choice isn't perfect, owning it matters. I made reservations at this Italian spot I think you'll love. Lands way better than, maybe we could go here? I don't know. What do you think? One shows you're willing to lead. The other puts the decision right back on her. This applies beyond restaurants, planning weekend trips, choosing activities, deciding when to leave a party. Women appreciate when you can assess a situation and make a judgment call. It creates balance in the relationship where both people contribute to steering the ship. If she disagrees with your choice, she'll tell you. That's healthy communication. But at least you started the conversation with a concrete suggestion instead of an endless loop of, I don't knows. Sighs. Here's where a lot of relationships start to fade. The beginning is electric. You're planning creative dates, sending good morning texts, surprising her with little gifts, staying up late talking about everything. Then 6 months in, a year in, you get comfortable. The effort drops off because you figure you've already won her over. But relationships aren't a finish line you cross. They're a garden you have to keep watering. The romance that got you together needs to stick around to keep you together. Women don't stop wanting to feel desired and special just because you've been dating for 2 years. I'm not saying you need to recreate your first date every weekend. Romance evolves, and that's natural. But the spirit of it should remain. Leave a note in her lunch bag that says you're thinking about her. Send a text in the middle of your workday just because. Stop at the store and grab her favorite candy bar for no reason other than you saw it and thought of her. The small, consistent gestures often mean more than the occasional grand gesture. Anyone can go big on Valentine's Day or her birthday. But the guy who randomly brings home flowers on a Tuesday in October, that's the guy who's still actively choosing her every single day. Keep flirting with her like you're still trying to impress. Ask her, compliment her, tell her she looks beautiful, make her laugh. Plan surprise date nights even when life gets busy. Sighs. These things take effort, sure, but they're also what keep the spark alive when routine threatens to dull everything. Women notice when the effort disappears. They feel it when you stop trying. And here's the hard truth. If you stop romancing your partner, eventually someone else's attention might start looking appealing to her. Not because she's looking for it, but because everyone wants to feel pursued and valued. Keep being the person who makes her feel that way. Look, we've covered a lot here today, and if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, I get it. But here's the truth. None of this is rocket science. What women want isn't some complicated mystery that requires a PhD to figure out. They want you to be real with them, to show up, to pay attention, to make them feel like they matter in your life, not just as an accessory, but as a priority. Everything we talked about boils down to one simple concept. intentionality. Being intentional with your emotions, your time, your attention, and your effort. It's about showing her through your actions, not just your words, that she's valued. The beautiful part? These aren't things you do once and check off a list. They're habits you build. Exhales. They're choices you make every single day. Some days you'll nail it. Other days you'll forget or mess up. That's being human. What matters is that you keep trying, keep showing up, keep putting in the work. Start somewhere. Pick one thing from what we discussed today and commit to it this week. Maybe it's putting your phone away during dinner. Maybe it's planning your next date without asking her to decide. Maybe it's just telling her something you've been holding back emotionally. Small steps create big changes over time. Your relationship will thank you for it. She'll feel the difference, even if she doesn't say it out loud right away. You'll notice her lighting up more, opening up more, feeling more connected to you. At the end of the day, relationships thrive when both people feel seen, heard, and valued. You've got the tools now. The question is, what are you going to do with them? Thanks for listening, everyone. Now go be the partner she deserves.